Hello everybody, it's your non-binary pal Gracious E.V.A. here, and this video is going to be a little bit different because it is a bit more scripted, but the reason why is because there was some art stuff here that I wanted to go in more depth about at the beginning. And the first thing is, yes, this is fan art from Boot Hill from Hawkeye Star Rail, and I will be talking about that, but I specifically wanted to talk about how I changed the entire piece halfway through. Before starting the illustration, I had already done some doodles of him before he was even released, and at first was going to use one of these doodles as the base for his drawing. The pose was going to be in a worm's eye perspective, which is basically just you looking up at the subject, and already I was struggling quite a bit with the sketch, and the background was also giving me struggles, but I decided to push through. It was about when I was done with the sketch that a different composition had appeared in my mind, perhaps even a better one, but I was already done with the sketch, so I thought I would just stick with this one and maybe do that other composition later. I was able to draw the entire line art and even colored him in. Normally this wouldn't be a big deal when drawing my characters or any other character, since this would only take like maybe less than an hour, but this was a Hoyoverse character, and I've definitely talked, and by talked I mean complained a lot about this, but this took more like 2 hours on top of the hour it took to make the sketch. It was by this time I got to this point I realized I did not like how this was looking at all. I didn't like how out of focus his face would be. The pose was fun, but I wasn't feeling the full body pose for this, and I was not excited for the background at all. So I stepped away from it for a bit. And after thinking about it for a while, I realized I really wanted to draw that other composition I had in mind. So I left that other piece in the dust and began working on this one. The reason I wanted to share this is because I've had experiences like this before, and sometimes I just try to push through to complete the piece, and usually it's a gamble if I end up liking it or not in the end. Usually I don't. So yeah, while it is good to learn how to keep going through with a piece even through the ugly stages, it's also very okay to just step away and start over, even if you spend a good amount of time on it. When I do this, I end up liking the piece a whole lot and having much more fun. So yeah, this part of the video will be a bit more of my normal chill speed paint ranting style. But yeah, the composition of this was based off of one of his idle animations where he literally flings a bullet from his gun and eats it. And yeah, I just think that's badass. If you don't understand why that's badass, how do you not understand? But yeah, I really wanted to base this off of that idle animation because as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh my god, I love him. To be fair, since seeing his leaks, I've been like, I love him and I would like him, please. But yeah, I grabbed a bunch of references from a video because I believe at the time of me making this, I didn't have him yet, or maybe I did have him, but I didn't want to go in and record that and wait for him to do it so I can record it. So I just grabbed a reference from a video and screenshotted each frames, which might have been a bit much, but also I really wanted this to look good, so yeah. The perspective on this one was actually ended up being the complete opposite of the first one, which was a bird's eye view, which is where the viewer is looking down at the subject, and it was much more extreme than the perspective I tried in the last one. So because of that, I used a 3D model to make sure everything was good anatomically. It's probably still not all correct anatomically, but you know what, I did my best and I like how it looks, so that's my argument. And as soon as I was done with this sketch, I knew that this was the right call. I had made the right call on starting over because I already loved the sketch and I was super excited to continue working on it. And yeah, I was a bit picky with the liner just because I wanted it to be like super hatchy and loose, but for some reason I felt like I wasn't getting there. But I feel like that's just all in my head. I get that way a lot with my line art where I feel like it could be more hatchy, it could be more grungy, but also it already is pretty grungy. I have it at a thicker size, and the texture already is very grungy, and the way I go about like the pin pressure stuff is like way more varied than I used to do. So yeah, that was pretty much all in my head. But also I did also went very crazy with the hatching shading, which I think was a good call with this one. And yeah, this time the coloring and the line art didn't take as long because I had already drawn him, or I had already lined him, so I kind of knew what I was doing. I did make sure that I had the right amount of detail on his metal abs because I had to. Yeah, I didn't have a clear plan for the background, unfortunately, with this one, but that was okay since Boot Hill was taking up pretty much the entire canvas here. So later on, I ended up just doing a simple like little impression of a background. Like there's a floor you can see and a little bit of texture and stuff, but that's pretty much it, and I feel like that was pretty much all that was needed for this one. Yeah, the greatest thing was being able to have his face be front and center so I can give him the deranged expression that he deserves. Because yeah, I love drawing deranged expressions in general because I love like pushing that and being able to add like face wrinkles and stuff and show the teeth and all that. So yeah, very fun to give him that, tongue out and everything. It's very fun. The eye though was really interesting because I wanted it to be super small, but I wanted to keep that detail of like the target effect in his eye, so I did like the target effect around the iris instead, and I think that looks pretty cool. It kind of looks like something's targeting his eye, but yeah, I think that adds to the derangedness of this drawing and this character. Yeah, and something else that I did was I used purple instead of red for the shading, which probably, since the background ends up being a red color, it probably would have made more sense to use red, but I wanted to use purple because I was going to use red as the highlight color, and I didn't want that to be like super monochrome. I wanted it to be a little bit more varied, and I ended up using a little bit of like purple overlay colors on the background, so it made a little bit more sense. But yeah, it's not super realistic, but he literally moonwalked through bullets. This man does not deserve a realistic drawing. Speaking of which, like I said, as soon as I saw this design, I was like, oh yes, this is amazing, and I would like to pull him, please. It was like, it's such a cool concept for a space cowboy. There's a bunch of concepts of space cowboys, but I feel like this was, if you're gonna go space cowboy, this is how you do it. Cyber, like a cyborg aesthetic, is the sharp teeth, and he's got the cowboy hat and everything, and it's just so cool. His hairstyle is also amazing. Love the black and white. Love that. Udis on his vibes. We love that. Something else I noticed too, and you might call me out on this. Yes, Kenta does look pretty similar to him. My character, Kenta, he does look pretty similar to him. I made Kenta before Boot Hill was leaked or released. So this was just a complete coincidence. I don't know how that happened, but specifically their hairstyles look very similar, and I don't know how that happened. I think Kenta also has the same sharp teeth that Boot Hill has. So yeah, that was just a coincidence though. I don't know how that happened, but yeah, I don't mind that at all though, because I love Kenta and I also love Boot Hill. So two of my favorite boys having the same similar hairstyles works out pretty well. But yeah, another reason why I really love Boot Hill's design is because it feels like one of the most unique ones out of the entire game. I've been enjoying Honkai Star Rail so far, as you can probably tell by the fan art I've made, but there are a lot of the designs that really aren't my favorite. They end up looking pretty similar to each other, especially the ones from Bellabog and I believe the Xing Show. They don't really speak to me. But Boot Hill, and honestly most of the characters from Pinakani have been really good. So obviously they decided to just step it up a notch when it comes to the Pinakani characters, because yeah, a lot of their designs I really like. Like I said in my past video, I really like Rappa's design. Rappa's design. I don't know if Argenti counts, but I love him as well. Robin, I actually really like Robin. I have her in my team as well. The only one is Sunday. Don't come after me. I'm not the biggest fan of Sunday, but I love Aventurine, and I also like Dr. Ratio's design. Yeah, so yeah, most of the Penacony characters, the characters that have been introduced in the Penacony storyline, I like a lot, including Boot Hill. So, and Boot Hill is definitely my favorite. But yeah. I've built up Boot Hill pretty well. I do have him, which is great. I actually got him in just a few pulls, which is awesome. I love that. And yeah, I actually think he was I think he was guaranteed, so there wasn't much of a surprise probably, but still glad to have him. I have him built pretty well, and he usually carries in any team that he's in, granted that he doesn't die, because I don't have a lot of sustainers, so it can be like a little bit of a hit or miss whether the one sustainer I have in my team will actually be able to make sure that he lives long enough to do what he needs to do. But yeah, let's go back to the actual artwork for a bit. Some effects that I wanted to add was this cool comic effect on his hand where he slaps it to get the gun out, which is actually a thing that is in his idle animation, so I wanted to mimic that here. And it was a bit hard to try to convey the exact motion I wanted, because his head is turning towards us, but his hand and bullet is facing a bit more away, and I actually had to adjust that in the sketch to be closer to the viewer so that it made sense where the bullet was going. And yeah, I wanted the line of motion to make sense without necessarily having to draw a line of motion there. And yeah, I used a very S shape when it came to the line of action here and the composition overall. And then yeah, I added a bunch more effects to bring more attention to his face and all that. And yeah, that is pretty much all I have to say for this.
Yeah, so many time passed by. Don't know why I'm losing my mind. Ego was so strong inside. At this point I just lived a lie. I just lived a lie. I wish I could tell you why. I wish I could feel you again, but I know it's too late, and I know you're away. There's no chance to apologize, no, no, no. It's a goodbye, just a goodbye. Forever and ever, you never come back. Just a goodbye, forever goodbye. I sit in my ride, thinking about you. Drive through the night, I got nothing to lose. Strobe city lights, they can tell me the truth. Tell me what I should do, I got nothing to lose. I got nothing to lose, thinking about you. Drive through the night, I got nothing to lose. Strobe city lights, they can tell me the truth. Tell me what I should do, I got nothing to lose. I sit in my
Thank you so much for watching. I know it was a bit of a different video, but I wanted to do something special for this piece, and also, you know, explain, like I said before, how, you know, it's okay to just start over. It's fine. You can start over. It's okay. Even if you don't want to, that's fine too. But if, you know, you could take, sometimes it's okay to take that chance and just start over. But yeah, I hope you have enjoyed this video. You can check out some of my other videos. You can subscribe for more videos like this one. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.